All right, so I've talked a little bit about the situation with the coaching search and how we're going to discuss this over what's going to be a long month of November, right? Like, there's a football game to be played coming up on Saturday. There is a month of season left to go for these players, and for us to just go full speed ahead for a month and change on a coaching search is probably not the best use of our time. I'm here to discuss possible options. I'm here to give my opinion on this name or that name, but it's probably not going to be an everyday thing. I don't think we'll talk any coaching search Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of this week or Monday of next week. But as things come up, I'm going to discuss them at the appropriate time. And I want to be very, very clear that I'm a little bit dismissive of this myself, but it is in the news, so let's just discuss. I'm not here to tell you this is someone that LSU is actively pursuing. I'm not here to tell you this is a likely outcome. I'm just here to discuss a possibility and give my opinion on it, which I have at LouisianaSports.net, and I will here now. If you're here in Baton Rouge, if you're in Louisiana, it's probably likely at this point the name Nick Saban has showed up on your text messages between friends, has showed up in your discussions outside church on Sunday, showed up at the water cooler at the office. It certainly showed up on the internet today when Shaquille O'Neal told Us Weekly, I heard through the grapevine they were having conversations with Nick Saban. That'd be awesome if we can bring Nick back. That's what Shaq had to say. Shaq's got a pretty big voice. So the question becomes like, is this reasonable? Not are they about to do this? Not is it a target? Not, is this a reasonable suggestion? And I've got some pretty clear thoughts on this. Nick Saban is the best college football coach that's ever lived. He came to LSU at the turn of the century, and he set up the golden era of LSU football. Then he made a mistake and went to the NFL, and he came back and made Alabama into a machine that I don't believe we'll ever see again in college football. He's the best. And unlike a lot of aging coaches who reach the top of the sport, Alabama did not really slip under Nick Saban. Keep in mind, at the end, 2 years ago, Nick Saban was in the national semifinal out in the Rose Bowl against Michigan and had a 7-point lead in that game with 2 minutes to go. They got that game to overtime, and Milroe couldn't score. But, like, the last game he coached was the national semifinal where he was 2 minutes from winning that thing. And, oh, by the way, the Michigan team that he lost to played Kalen DeBoer's Washington team a week later and beat them 34-13. So it never really slipped. And so I understand if there are people that want to look at this and go, I mean, yeah, go hire Nick Saban. Here's where I am on it. Nick Saban stepped away. He was not forced out, didn't lose a bunch of games and feel any pressure. He stepped away. And some of the things that he said after stepping away make this pretty clear to me. This is a quote from Nick Saban to Reese Davis after he stepped away from Alabama. To be honest, this last season was grueling. It really was a grind for us to come from where we started to where we got to. Took a little more out of me than usual. When people mentioned the health issue, it was really just the grind. Can you do this the way you want to? Can you do it the way you've always done it and be able to sustain it for the entire season? And if I couldn't make a commitment to do that in the future the way I think I have to do it, I thought maybe this was the right time based on those two sets of circumstances. So he said, it just took too much out of me to do this from August through January. I didn't think I could do it. That's coming from a guy who got his team to the national semifinal. But it's 2 years ago. He was 72 when he said that. He's 74 now. And then you look at this quote from Nick Saban. When I was young, I could be there until 2 o'clock in the morning, be there at 6 o'clock the next day, and feel full of energy to go do it. When I get a little older, it's a little tougher, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. Well, he's older then than he was now. And he's telling you 2 years ago, I can't operate the way that I feel like I need to. You look at what a college coach has to do. You get to campus. You've got to hire a staff. You've got to put together a personnel department. You've got to build relationships with high school players. You've got to recruit the transfer portal. You've got to re-recruit your own roster. You've got to manage the money in the collective and with the revenue sharing and make sure that each position is allocated the right funds. You've got to deal with disgruntled players who feel like they should deserve more. And if those people leave, you've got to replace them. You've got to deal with motivating boosters and raising money. You've got to deal with all of that before you ever blow a whistle at practice to develop players and devise game plans and watch tape. This is a grueling job. And yes, if Nick Saban were to come to LSU, he would have assistants lined up to come work for him. Yes, LSU's got a personnel department over there. He would be able to delegate some responsibilities, but it's just not the way he's ever worked. You just ran a guy out of town who was kind of delegating and stepping back. And I realize that Brian Kelly and Nick Saban aren't the same, but they were both kind of at the top of the sport 5-7 years ago. Consistently in the top 5, consistently competing toward the top of the sport. Nick Saban doesn't want to just delegate. He wants to be involved in every single thing that happens. Can you do that at 74, at 75, at 76? I realize you're not signing to a 10-year deal. You'd say, hey, make 3 runs at a championship here. Stabilize things. I get what the message would be, but he can't do it the way he wants to. And oh, by the way, there are other quotes that Nick gave after he stepped away. Like this, talking about paying high schoolers NIL deals. Now that's actually happening, he said. People are making deals with high school players to go to their school. It's not about coaching and developing as much as it is what kind of money can you make. Well, that hadn't changed at all. And he continued, it's great that players have the freedom to do what they want to do, but I also don't think we should create circumstances where they don't have to make the commitment and see things through. They don't have to make the commitment and see things through. They can look up in September, not like the depth chart, say, please redshirt me, I'm leaving. This is the landscape of college football. He doesn't like it. So not only is he 2 years older than when he said, I can't really do this at the level I want to, the rules that he didn't like and was outspoken against and spoke to Congress about changing haven't really changed that much. This doesn't feel like a fit to me. I am not here telling you that Nick Saban, if he took this job, would coast and Cadillac and run LSU into the ground. Like LSU could do far worse than Nick Saban in this hiring cycle. Because if Nick Saban came to LSU, there's a pretty damn good chance that LSU would field a pretty good football team next year. Like, I feel pretty good about that. You would not get, in my opinion, the machine that Saban created in Tuscaloosa for 15 years. Your floor would be reasonably high, but your shelf life on that is almost zero, just almost nothing. Your floor, you go out and hire, and I'm using complete hypotheticals here just to make the point. Complete hypotheticals, no information. You hire Kenny Dillingham, you hire Clark Lee, you hire Eli Drinkwitz, you hire whoever, Georgia's defensive coordinator. Like, you could crash this car pretty quick. Like, they could come here and it just does not work at all. And I don't think you run that risk with Saban as much. But your upside on Saban to me is just not all that high because I don't think you're getting the Nick Saban that we all think when that name pops into your brain. I would rather take the risk of going to get the guy in his 40s that might do this for 11 years, that might do this for 7 years. Because I don't think Nick Saban wants to do this. And you talk about, well, you can offer him $14 million. And you heard Saban on game day give the quote that I don't want Jimmy Sexton anywhere near Miss Terry because she starts seeing these numbers that are being thrown around and she gets interested. Well, I ain't interested, he said. And I just don't know how much I buy this. I understand that $14 million is $14 million, and that's a lot of money, and a lot of people like $14 million instead of not $14 million. But Nick Saban made well over $100 million in Tuscaloosa, and he's got a part in 9 car dealerships. I just don't think the Sabans are missing out on a lot of things because they can't quite foot the bill. Okay? So to me, like, I understand where this comes from, and I understand why there are some people that think it would be a great deal, and it's a great idea. I just don't see it that way. I think it's kind of an easy way out that isn't what you think it is. So if LSU were to put Nick Saban on the podium, I would go, all right, let's see how this goes. You wouldn't hear me saying, well, this is a disaster. What the heck are they doing? But I would also feel like your upside on it was pretty low because of the short shelf life. You're basically saying, okay, this guy is so good, so dominant, that he can come in at 80% of what he once was, and he'll just flip around the roster and get you a national championship in 2 years. That's ambitious. It's ambitious to me. Hey, thanks for watching Hunt on LSU. Before you get out of here, do us a couple of favors. Hit that like button, leave your comments below, and subscribe to the channel for all your Fighting Tiger football talk. See you next time.